I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations or leaked transcripts of phone calls. And what the president conveyed publicly and certainly privately as well, repeatedly to Afghan leaders, as did our national security officials, is that it's important that the leaders in Afghanistan do exactly that, lead, and show the country that they are ready to continue the fight against the Taliban.
That was White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki dodging a question from a reporter on the leaked phone call between President Biden and Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. During the July 23rd phone call, Biden said he believed things were not going well in terms of fighting the Taliban and encouraged Ghani to change the perception. This comes as we're learning that the U.S. is now estimating it left behind the majority of Afghan interpreters and other visa applicants. Also, about 500 journalists and their families who work for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Joining me now, Tennessee Congressman, House Financial Services Committee member David Kustoff. Congressman, good to see you this morning. What do you make of the transcript that we got of the Biden-Ghani discussion, but also Jen Psaki's response? It's kind of nothing to see here.
Yeah, good morning, David. Well, it's very concerning because when things started unraveling just a few weeks ago, I thought that the president was derelict in his duties. But when you look at that transcript and the questioning of Jen Psaki yesterday, the president was complicit in a lot of this. And, you know, there was one line in that transcript where the president was talking to the Afghan president and wanted to convey the impression and their perception, whether it was true or not, which tells you and tells me and tells everybody that Joe Biden knew exactly what was unfolding and what could have happened and what did happen, in fact, if we removed our troops and our military from Afghanistan. So it's concerning on a lot of different fronts that Biden was more concerned about the perception than the loss of lives.
Christian, jump in here. There's so much to discuss as we dig deeper into this, and you call it a concern of perception over reality of what was going on the ground, and the attempts over and over again, even with the speech that President Biden gave a couple of days ago, to massage the facts about what happened. And I'm being very gentle in my language.
Yeah, it really boggles the mind. It seems that the president, as you point out, has been much more concerned with perceptions, with the PR, managing this as a political issue than actually trying to achieve victory or salvage, what you can from looming disaster to at least try and buy some time for Americans to get out to operationalize things. It seems like this is what happens when you run the Oval Office like a Senate office, when the biggest thing in your day is maybe holding a hearing as opposed to running it like a president when you're the commander-in-chief. Congressman, I was curious, the White House is saying that the reason this is all being done, they're trying to shift the discussion to the future, saying, well, we're getting out of Afghanistan to focus on China, Russia, Iran. What are the chances of that actually happening?
Well, I think it's very low. And you go back to what's happened over the last several weeks. Our credibility in the world, the United States credibility, has been greatly diminished because of Biden's actions withdrawing from Afghanistan. Forget our enemies for a moment. Our own allies are dissing us publicly and privately because we left them. We left innocent people after 20 years, people who had worked with us. And I said don't pay attention to our enemies, but we know that the Chinese, for example, sent the message to Taiwan, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially, if you think Taiwan, that the United States is going to be there to protect you, you need to look at what happened in Afghanistan, and that's a message that our enemies and the people that we're not friendly with right now, the Chinese, the Russians, et cetera, are sending to nations and third world nations all around the world. And it's so ironic because when Biden campaigned, he talked about, in his words, restoring American credibility and restoring foreign policy. And in the course of just a few weeks, he set us back 30 years.
Yeah, I said that when he went on vacation. As Afghanistan was collapsing, as Kabul was collapsing. And I said, of course, it's exhausting in 7 months setting America back, 40 some odd years. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, however, says impeaching President Biden is not a realistic option, despite growing calls from GOP lawmakers. Instead, he's encouraging Republican voters to hold him accountable at the ballot box. All voters, Congressman. Do you agree with the Senate Minority Leader?
Yeah, I think Mitch McConnell is right, and let me tell you that I'm angry. My Republican colleagues are angry. I'm hearing from my constituents who are angry at the president, the way he's abandoned people who work with us. He left Americans behind after he promised that he wouldn't leave them behind. I think all options are on the table, and as our leader Kevin McCarthy said just a few days ago, that there will be a day of reckoning as it relates to Joe Biden and his presidency.
Congressman David Kustoff, thank you so much for being here this morning. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.